So yeah, we have an array of numbers. We want to sort them, and then we're going to use selection sort. So the process for this is we need to keep track of like our, I'm going to call it like current index. And we're going to start that off at 0. We need to keep track of the lowest number. And we need to keep track of the lowest index. So what we kind of do is we start at the first element. So we point our current index here. And then we do our like find lowest and swap algorithm that we did on, I believe, Tuesday. So our find lowest and swap algorithm, we go through each of the items and compare. Remember, for the find lowest and swap, we also set the lowest number and lowest index to our first thing, to that thing, and then we go through and we compare. So 0 is the lowest, compare 0 and 1. So after that first time, we would find that 0 is the lowest, and we would swap out these two values, 0, 3, 1, 5, 6, 2. So after one iteration of that, we then take our current index, and then we set that equal to 1. Because we now know that section of the array is sorted. And then we go through and we perform this algorithm again of finding lowest and swap. So this time around, we set our lowest to, the first to 3, and the lowest index to 3. And then we go through and we compare. So 1's lower than that, so that becomes our lowest. And then we compare, compare, compare. So 1's our lowest, so then we swap these two out. So we get 0, 1, 3, 5, 6, and 2. And then we move our current index to 3. So we're just going through this process of finding the lowest, swapping, and then moving our current index over 1. So let's go ahead and code this out. I'm just going to code this, and you can watch and code along. And then maybe I would say, I think this is like, let's see this first, and then sometime maybe during lunch or during project time, just try to like do this on your own. And you can have like the code as a reference. So let's go ahead and I'm going to open up iTerm. Actually, I'm going to share on my others. Well, I thought that was a little better with the Zoom stuff if I shared on my other screen. Let me do that. Okay. Let's open up iTerm. Let's see. And then CD to wherever you need to go. Where is, I do cat Tinder? Oh, it's in my root. Okay. So cat Tinder's in my DPL folder. I want it to be in week 6. How do I move that into week 6? And I don't want to like
do MV.
Yeah, I just do MV. I want to move cat Tinder into week 6. It's not okay, week 6. Oh my God. What did I do? That was not nice. What did I do wrong there? Oh crap. Oh, I don't want to do that. Move. That's probably not good. Move. Oh, I'm in week 6. Oh wait, yeah, okay. I did, okay, sorry. I want to move cat Tinder into week 6. So if I CD into week 6, oh crap, I did something bad.
Doesn't that rename it when you do it like that? Don't you have to put like the slashes to?
Well, okay, so I'm in, I did something not great here. So that last one was good. I moved cat Tinder into week 6. So here's my cat Tinder. It's now in week 6 because I'm in the week 6 folder. I CD back. It's no longer in there, but I think I accidentally moved all this crap. Did I? Or did it? Okay, cool. It tried to move all of this stuff into my root directory, but I think it didn't allow me to do that. That's why I got all of this crap out. That's when I saw all this stuff. I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? So, so when I did this, sorry, CD DPL. Let me go back to where I was. DPL 21. When I did this move, cat Tinder, I don't know what I was thinking, but I, moved my app and then I said slash week or whatever, week 6. That, this slash right here, this is a absolute path. That's saying, hey, go to my slash directory, which is my root directory. So that was not bueno. Because that's really like users. My slash, that's the root of my computer. Users, James Yates, desktop. So try to move it in here. So if I see, does that make sense? If I CD into slash, that's, and yeah, luckily I don't have like, oh, since I didn't have a week 6 in here, none of this stuff worked. So that was good. That's why all of this is just saying, hey, this all failed. Cool. So when I moved it, I just want to do move cat, the name of the file into the name of the folder. So, or the path. Anyway. I have. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to open, I'm just going to open this up in cat Tinder. So CD into cat Tinder. Open this up. And just wherever right here, create my selection sort.js. Let array equal. It's just a random array of numbers. Cool. So let's do this. Let's do our const. Let's do our sort function. This takes an array and so so we have, does anyone have maybe a strategy, or I think this is kind of the tough part of these is maybe coming up. I think we went over the strategy on paper. So how do we get started? Let's kind of work from this angle too, because since we kind of did define lowest, we've seen that before. Let's come at this from the angle of like, how do we do that current index thing and like keep track of a current index? And what I mean by that is,
Set it to a variable.
yeah, so let's set it to a variable. Well, that's good. Current index equals 0. And let's just say I have a function, find lowest and swap. All this function is going to do is like console.log. Let's just say this is done and it's working. So I want to go through my array and I want to find the lowest. I want to go through my array and call this function. Then I want to move the current index over 1 and call this function. And then I want to move the current over 1 and then call that function. Let's just do this as a for loop. Let I equals 0. I less than array.length. I plus plus. And this is going to say starting at index, because we're going to pass this function to start index. Like this is the index at which to start finding the lowest. I mean, we might not, the way that actually the way I'm doing this might not, I'm going to call this current index probably. Let's do that right there. So I'm doing a for loop, let current index equals 0. Go to the array.length and then current index dot swap. So let's just see this. Let's just call this sort array. And then I'm going to run this. Node selection sort. See how we're kind of doing this, starting at index 1, working, find lowest, and swap. Then we would move, then we working, find lowest, and swap. We start at 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how we can get that second part working. So let's try doing this. Let's actually do the find lowest and swap. This might get weird though. if I'm doing a for loop, but let's just see what happens here. So let's in this function, let's actually make this work. So now I want to do actually, no, let's not even do it in here. Let's do it right here. Just to do them, so you can see the nested for loop. I'm just going to call this J, because this is where we want to go through. Let's go through find lowest and swap. I'm just going to call this starting index. What should I set the starting index to?
Current index +1.
I think we just want to do the current index
Okay.
because we need to check that first item. But that's good. There's another off by one error. See. But yeah, we're gonna set the starting index to the thing we're looking at the first. So that's going to be, we're going to assume that's the lowest number and that's the lowest index. And then, yeah, then we're just going to iterate through this array. So starting index is less than array dot length. And then starting index plus plus. Man, I don't like how this is. I'm just going to call this current I. Current I. I don't like how that's wrapping over. Okay. I'm just going to call it current. There we go. Okay, so now we just need to go through each of our things and, we're going to set up some variables. So that lowest, that's going to be equal to our array. Actually, I'm going to do that right up here. I don't want to do this in the for loop. So I first want to find my lowest. That's going to be array at the current index. And then my lowest index is going to be current. And now we can just compare. So if our lowest, or if the if array at maybe I shouldn't call that starting index. Just call this inner index. It's not the best name. So here we're going through that like inner array, and we're going through that inner index and checking to see if that index is less than the lowest. So if it is, then we want to set lowest to that number and set our lowest index to whatever that inner index is. I'm going to get rid of that. Well, for each of these, let's as we go through, let's console.log the array and see if we can see it changing. getting an error here. Array current, oh, array, I called it ARR. Oh wait, we actually, okay. I am forgetting one key piece here. So I need to go find the lowest. So here we are finding lowest element in the like quote inner array. And then I need to, I forgot to swap. It's an important part of this. So I'm going to say let temp equal, let's just take the array at our current. That's our starting position. And then I can then swap these out. So then I'm going to say array at current equals that lowest. And then the array at the inner index, or sorry, the lowest index equals my temp. There we go. Our array is sorted. And we can see as we go through this, here's where it starts. So that's how it was at the start. And then as we go through, like 1's the lowest item. Then we have 1, 2, that's sorted. Then we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 5. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and so forth. So this is why we need to solve these on paper first, because if I just were to show you this algorithm, do you think you could make sense of it? You kind of, you can, but it's a lot easier when you draw out the process, right? Because this gets very, like, I don't know, when I do these, like I can like explain how to do these on paper and then I code them and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like, it's just the language. It's look how it's a little messy.
Would you mind taking a number through that? Like take 2 through it? Do you know what I mean? Like walk us through.
Yeah, let's just go through the first couple. Let's like start it out. And
Yeah, that'd be great.
so we call this function sort array. And let's just do it like really, let's do something pretty simple. Let's do like 3, 2, 1 or 0. I don't know. So I wonder if I can like just, I want to be able to like draw on this. Can I? Oh, sweet. Okay, there we go. So we have like 3. Sorry, this is on the trackpad. 3, 0, 1. Okay. So we call this function sort. So we start right here, and we set this up. So we set up let current equals 0, current array.length. So we set up this variable called current, and that is equal to 0. Okay, so the first time around, I say lowest equals array at current. So lowest is going to equal the array. Here's my array at current, which is 0. So it's going to equal 3. And then my lowest index equals current, which is 0. So that I'm just going to call that LI, lowest index equals 0. Okay, so I set that up before I do this inner loop. So now I come here and I say let inner index equal current. Well, current 0. So this is where I want to start searching. I want to start at that current index. And then I'm going to go through all of these items. And I'm just going to check, if my array index is lower than lowest. So is 3 less than 0? No, it's not. Let's go to the next thing. What am I in? So we go to 0. Oh, wait, sorry. I said this wrong. Is this less than 0? I'm getting tongue twisted now.
Is array inner index? That's
Okay, so
starting.
my inner, see, this is where this gets confusing. My inner index is 0. So we're going to start here. And I guess, Tom, is this why you're saying you could do current plus 1?
I don't think it's a big deal, but I think it skips checking the
Oh
first
my
one.
gosh, I think I have you on mute. What about now?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it just skips it from checking the first one.
Because
Yeah,
would that be checking the first one against itself? Because
Yeah.
it was 0.
yeah, so we could,
Okay.
because right here, we do check, we do set that equal to 0. So I could say that, equal, because that would compare it to itself. So I could say let inner index equal current plus 1 right there. But yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to compare these. So yeah, if my inner index is 0, and I'm comparing that to the lowest, that is like comparing it to ourselves. So then we'd move over to the next one. And then we'd say, hey, is 0 less than 3? And then I'd say, yes, it is. So then I'd say, hey, well, now 0 is the lowest. And 1 is the that's going to be the lowest index. And then I go through and I compare 1 and 0. That's not, so I won't hit that if statement. But then I'm done with this for loop. Like I'm done with that for loop that time around. So now I can swap. So then I take 0, 3, and 1. I'm going to need to, why did I draw that there? So I swap, so I got 0, 3, and 1. Because my lowest would be 0. Like that would, end up being 0. And my lowest index would end up being 1. As I went through that. And then I swap. Temp equals array at current. So I'm just setting my current to 3 because I'm going to clobber it. Because then I set my array at current, which is 0, to the lowest, which would be 0. See, that gets clobbered. My 3 gets clobbered. But I have that in a variable. So then I can take that lowest index and put the 3 in there. So then I have 0, 3, and 1. But I'm still within like this swap is still in this for loop right here. So now I go to the next plus current, so current becomes 1. And that's how I then move up this array. So this is a nested for loop. So I have this for loop that's, going through, finding the lowest, swapping. Then we increment current. Then we go through, find the lowest, swap. I need to get rid of all this annotation. I don't know, is that, this thing is really good to on your own go through these inner loops and walk through this. and draw it out. It's kind of hard to draw it out with this, with my trackpad. How do I get rid of that? But yeah, is that, I don't know, did that help? I need to get rid of my annotator.
Yeah, it helps. It helped me. I won't speak for everyone, but
Yeah, my mind's still trying to process it, follow.
Yeah, but these things are like, they're like, go through this because you'll get better at going through code like this if you like go through it step by step. And you know, another thing we could do is do like console.logs. Lowest. Like this really is the starting lowest index. Let's just log the starting lowest. And then we would log here like new lowest found. And then down here would be like the actual lowest. So if we were to run this again, like our starting lowest is going to be 3 because that's the first thing in an array. And then, you know, we found the lowest. Oh, I needed this. The lowest, it would actually be the array at the inner index. New lowest found is 0. The actual lowest was 0. So then we stop. So now when we start the lowest is 3 because we've moved that iterator up. And like here you could say like starting at index. Right. So by throwing in logs, see we start at index 0. The lowest is 3 because that's the first thing in the array. The actual lowest thing in the array is 0. So then we swap that out. Okay, now we start at index 1. Start and lowest, well, what's the value at 1? That's 3, so that's the lowest. What's the lowest in the array right now? It's 1. And really, if I'm at index 2, I could say, I could say array.length -1, because I don't need to, if I'm at the last thing, I don't need to check it. I don't need to go through and find the lowest. And yeah, I think I could go current +1 there. Right to that. No, did that, I feel, let's see, did that screw it up? Oh, I guess I do need that, the array minus length. So no, I do need that. If I do -1, it's off by 1. See, the off by 1. Gets you every time. There you go. But by throwing in logs, I think that can help you understand that.
yeah, that was really useful. I think my trouble was keeping track of the fact that there's like an index number that I need to keep track of, and the number in that index that I need to keep track of in my mind. And yeah, that was useful.
Yeah, that's where these get confusing, is keeping track of everything. Because, you know, when we draw it out, like this, I think when you draw it out like this, it makes sense, but then it's like, oh man, I gotta keep track of all of this stuff, like going through it. That's hard. Because it ends up looking something like this. But yeah, I will slack this out. Because like, yeah, there's other ones. What type is it? Let's just talk about one other one. I'm not gonna solve it, but just think about like another way to sort in an array that is more, actually, I'm gonna erase this. That is more useful or more efficient. It's called merge sort. So let's say we have an array, kind of take you into the mind of like crazy computer scientists. All right, so you got like 2, 0, -1, 3, 5, 7. Dude, my 5s are hideous. Let's make that an 8. All right. So here's one way, and here's a better way to sort in an array. Is, well, let's just like be lazy and let's like split this array in half. I'm gonna make this actually even, so it's not that that matters. Okay, so I'm gonna give it 4 and 4. Let's do 10 and 1. So yeah, so one way to do it is, hey, let's just take this array and split it in half, and then I'm gonna sort that half. So I'm gonna split it into 2 halves and then sort 1 half. Well, once again, I have another array. Well, let's just split that array in half and then, sort that array. Well, that's also a little too long for me to sort. Let's just split that in half. And it's like, bam. Now I have sorted my array. Well, I've like, that is sorted, right? And 0 is sorted. And I could do the same thing with 1 and 3, like there's my 2 and 0, take my 1 and 3. Cool. I now I'll have those all sorted. Now I just got to put them back together so I can like, oh, hey, what's less, 0 or 2? Well, it's 0 and 2. What's less, 1 or 3? Well, that goes to 1 and 3. Well, now that I have those two sorted, well, now I can take these two and sort them. So I can compare 0 and 1, 0 is less. Now I can compare 1 and 2, 1's next. Then I compare 2 and, 1. Then I compare 2 and 3, there's 2, and then 3. Now that array is sorted. And then I can do the same process with this array. 8, 7, 10, 1. 8, 7, 10, 1, and go through and like, that's 7, 8. That's 1, 10. Combine these, compare 1 and 7. 1, 7, 8, 10. And then go through and, take these two arrays and then start comparing like, well, what's left, 0 or 1? 0. Then I take 1 and compare that to that one and so forth. That is called merge sort. Because that will eventually, I'll get 0, 1, can't even read my own handwriting, 2. So we got 0, 1. Oh, I forgot the -1. Kind of forgot the minus sign right there. So I'll just, 2, 8, 7, 8. But yeah, the idea is you break up the array into just arrays of one element, which are sorted, and then you merge them back together. It's called merge sort.
That looks so much more complicated, but I was kind of counting. Tell me if I'm on the right track here. It seems like there's like around, I don't know, 16 steps or something in this, whereas if you were comparing each of these to each other in that original array, it would be more like 30 steps.
30 steps.
Is that on track? Because you'd have to compare the two to each. Wait, do you compare the two to each one of those? Okay, I guess what I'm asking is, why would you do this?
What?
Why would you do this? It looks complicated.
Yeah, well, first of all, one reason why you do that is you end up doing less comparisons. because you have these smaller arrays, so you end up doing less comparisons. With our selection sort, we have to like go through and compare our whole array and then make that into a smaller thing and then compare that. And then, so that gives us an n squared algorithm. With this, since we're breaking things up into halves and then comparing, that's going to give us a n log n algorithm, which is a lot better than n squared. Like it's a lot better. So that's your reason number one, is this is more efficient. So that's no one in no language used their selection sort is like never used. It's just it's an easier one to understand. But this one also is not actually, it's not that much code, because this step of breaking it up in half and this step of breaking it up in half and this step of breaking it up in half are the same step. This step of merging it together, that's like the same code. It's the same thing. If you know, like, you can just break something up in half, you know, until it's one. And you can just, if you know how to merge and like an array of two things together, you can code it so it can merge an array of four things. So this gets into recursion. Let's see if I can find a merge sort. Let me just pull this up and so we can look at the code. I'm not gonna, this one would actually, I haven't written merge sort for a while. It'd probably like take me a second to do it. So merge sort code JavaScript. Let's see if we can find a recursive one. Yeah, so here's the example. So you have merge sort array. So if your array.length is less than 2, you return the array. If it's not, you divide it in half. So you split these two arrays in half, and then you call merge, which calls merge sort, which is this function we're in. So it calls this merge sort function, which cuts the arrays in half until they're down to 2. So this merge function, this takes two arrays and merges them together. So we have this merge sort, which takes our arrays and splits them into half until they get to 1, until we have arrays of 1. And then we call like the merge function, which takes two arrays and puts them together. So here's just that logic of like combining two arrays. So I don't know, this is, I want to say this is like any more messier than the selection sort. So yeah. There's recursion. So yeah, the confusing part of this is wrapping your head around this, the recursion. So I won't do this example and we won't do it today, but I'll go through we'll do like the Fibonacci. That's a good recursive example to kind of wrap your head around recursion. But you see how that's the definition of recursion, is we're calling our method within our method. So cool. Look at that. I think this one is, once again, if you understand that it's on paper, it's like we're just taking two arrays and we're splitting them up into arrays of 1. And then we go back and can slowly start to merge those arrays together to get our final array. So I'll Slack this one out. You can, or I'll just Slack out this example. Cool. Let's go ahead and take a break. It's nothing quite like learning selection sort and merge sort at 9:30 in the morning. So let's come back at 10:50. I'll also Slack out the selection sort. Okay. Let's get started. So let's just jump into the Rails portion of this and kind of get the whole thing working, and then we'll probably have some time to do a little bit of like a full picture review. Because yesterday, what we did, let me share my screen and record. So I'm going to start up my React app. Really no. What? That's the one we did yesterday, right? Did I screw this up when I moved it? Yarn start. Can't find it. So it's saying it can't find a package JSON file. All right. That would be a problem.
I think we might be seeing your other screen again. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's probably right. Sorry. I blame myself on that one. Yeah, I'm having some issues here. So I cannot find package JSON file in users.
Oh, yeah, it's because you're not in the client folder.
Oh, yeah, that would do it. Sorry, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I was going to like reclone my project down. Okay. See, even the littlest things still get me today. Okay. So let's also start our server. I'm also going to quit out of this for now. So we have that running. Rails server port 3001. That's what this error is. It's trying to do can't connect. My backend. So
The server did not start you throughout a nest in Rails.
Oh, thank you. I am just on one today. So why did we get this error? I didn't even like try to do an Axios call, or did I? Do we do one on mount? Does anyone remember?
Probably that fetch user component.
Yeah, exactly. That fetch user, when our page loads, remember we have that fetch user component that's going to go in. It's going to check, do I have a user? Well, I don't have a user, but I do have a key. In local storage, I probably, since I haven't, from yesterday, I have this access token. And if I refresh, see how I refresh and I'm logged in. Because that access token was still valid. I might want to, in my fetch user, I wonder if I could do this. You know, if we're, I don't know, depending on what page we're going to, we could maybe have it redirect home, but I actually don't think we should do that. But that worked. So we loaded our component, we checked to see if that token's valid. It's still valid, so that logged us in. So I can log out. But now if I refresh, that no longer works because I had it in my logout that I destroyed that access token. So that's no longer there. Cool. And then, yeah, we have, so if I'm not logged in and I try to go to like my home page, I'll like type it in home. Remember that we have what's called a protected route that checks to see if we have a user. And if we don't, it redirects us to the login page. So on the front end, we're able to protect some of our routes where you can't see a page unless you're logged in. All right. So let's talk about kind of more back-end validation. We're going to be making a lovely cat Tinder app. So let's see how that goes. Where we get a vote on our favorite cats. So, and then we'll do some back-end stuff to do some validations there. So, but let's first build out some models. Rails G model cat. Let's give it a name. Breed. Registry and avatar. Let's just add a migration. So let's say I forgot, like we were coding and down the line, I want to add something to my model, a table or a column, and I can't just destroy my database. Well, we could do a migration. Rails G migration. Add. So I'm saying add, and I'm going to call the name of the column liked cats to user. Well, actually, because yeah, this one we actually need to, because we want to add an additional field to our user model. If you remember our user model, let's just go to our schema. Here's our user model or our user table. This is the data. I want to add a liked cats text on here. So if I want to add something to this table that was generated us by devised token auth, I have to do a migration. So I can't just, I don't really have that migrate. I don't think there is that migration file, is there? Oh, it's right here. I guess I could add it here. So I could add it here, but then I'd have to delete all my users, which I probably don't want to do. So let's just create a migration for this liked cats. That's going to be the name of the column, and it's going to be a text build. Then I can do a Rails DB migrate. Now something about this liked cats, that kind of sounds like in an array, right? Because it's cats. This is how we're going to store. We're going to have our user be able to like a cat. And we're going to store the ID of the cat in this array of like cats. But why am I declaring it as text in my database? Well, in SQL, we don't have arrays. So I'm going to store it in my database as text, but then we'll see how we can convert that text in Ruby so it turns into an array. So we can treat it like an array in our code, but it just saves as text to our database. So I'm going to migrate this. And now if I look at my schema, I have a cats model, and then I have this user model.
Why doesn't the cats belong to the user? Like a user has many cat likes.
We could do that. Like they should be their own separate, like they shouldn't be combined, because like a cat shouldn't belong to a user, because a user could like many cats and a cat could have many like users that liked it. What we would probably want to do is like, if we could do another table that was like a join table, like users cats, which would be the ID of the user and the ID of the cat. That's how we would do that, is through a join table. We're just doing this, throwing the liked cats in as an array and in our users, just to keep things simple. I think you would want to probably have that separate table, but we're also just showing this. This also isn't a bad way to do it. Well, it's not. It's definitely the better way. It would be to do what you're saying, Elise, but this will work for this lecture, and then we'll get to see how to serialize an array. Is that
Homework goes. Users are liking each has many relationship, or because it's all different users?
sorry? Will you repeat that?
You know what? Let's just keep going with the lecture. Maybe my question will be answered.
Okay.
It's okay.
Cool. Did I just break up? It's got a little thing that says my internet connection was unstable. Oh. I don't know what's, yeah, if I run a speed test, I have like 60 gigs, so, or megabits, not 60 gigs, 60 megabits, which is fine. That's pretty good. All right, let me know if it's going out. Okay, so yeah, let's go back here. The next thing we want to do in our terminal is just create some routes. So at controller. So let's do a Rails G controller API /cats. We're just going to create two methods, an index and an update. And we can skip routes and just manually do them ourselves. This really doesn't, this just defines a index method and a update method in our controller. And this skip routes just doesn't add anything in our routes file. So sort of kind of excessive tags, but let's go fill out our routes. So I can do a resources cats. And I can do an only here. So we're only doing update and our index. So I can say, hey, only create the routes for our index method and our update method. So there's a way you can do resource routing and not have it create all of our CRUD action routes, just the ones we want. So I don't have, I should start my server. Actually, let's go fill out some data first, and then we'll test this out. So let's go to our controller. It's our cats controller. All right. Now think about our index method. Here we're going to want to get, for this index method, we're going to want to get the users liked cats. But this one's going to be our logged in user. So this needs to be protected. So needs to be protected, i.e., the user on client must have valid token. So let's just see this magic work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this before action. Just kind of like we've done before. So before all of these actions, I'm going to call this method authenticate user. Bang. So authenticate user this is a method from devise token auth. This method, when called, will give us current dot user, which is the logged in user. So it's that logged in user in our database. So I called this before action authenticate user. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to render JSON. I'm going to go user.random. So we're going to make a custom model or custom method. Let's do, actually, I think this is just get cats. I'm going to call this, let's say, I think this one's going to return unliked cats. Or let's just call this cats for now. I'm going to like think about what to call this in 1 second. And then I'm going to pass it this current dot user, sorry, current underscore user dot liked cats. That's the field we just threw into our user table. Let's go ahead and kind of see this in action. We're going to need to define this method, but let me slack out a seeds file for our cats. I'm actually going to make this smaller for now. I'm just going to do 10 cats. And I probably should not hard code that it's 200 cats seated. I should actually go in and do like a cat.all just to make sure that's the actual number. So we're just going through, we're creating some fake data, and then we're creating a cat 10 times. Cool. Let's go ahead and run this migration. Builds db migrate. And then going back to our cats controller, let's go define this method. I'm trying to think about a better name for it. So let's go to our cat model. So that was a class method. So I'm going to go ahead and define cats. And it's a class method, so I'm going to use self dot. And notice when we pass this method, we passed it this like cats, which is stored in our database as an array, or sorry, as a text. But something we're going to do in our cat model. Let's go to our cat model. I'm going to do this. I'm going to serialize, call this serialize method. Liked cats array. Okay, and what this is going to do, so let's leave a comment here. Like cats is stored as text in DB. Doing this allows us to use liked cats as an array. Well, it converts it. I should say this converts it to an a array. How do you use to an array? I can never like say that. To an array in our Ruby files. I'll just say in Rails. Does that make sense? So in my cat controller, when I say current user.like cats, that's the array of like cats, which we're going to keep track of it as IDs. It's just going to be a string of IDs. All right. So this is going to take an array of IDs. And then I want to see, this is first, if it's empty. So is there anything in this array? So this returns a Boolean, and then I'm going to do a ternary. If it's empty, let's just give it an array of 0. And if not, I'm going to just say it's equal to IDs. So I'm just kind of checking if it's empty. If it is, I want IDs to equal this empty array. If not, I'll just have it set to itself. And then we're going to do a little kind of small SQL. So I'm going to say cat.where. I'm going to say ID. This is in a string. Let's just kind of look at this. This will be a little teaser for next week. Not in question mark IDs. Order. This is in a string to random. So these are like SQL stuff. I can have that uppercase. So I'm getting all the cats that they have not liked. So as long as the ID is not in that array of IDs. You could also, maybe I should just call this unliked, or maybe unseen. I think this is supposed to be like the unseen cats. We're not like keeping track of these. This is technically the ones that are not liked. Let's also create a method that's liked cats. It's going to be very similar. Just going to get rid of this not. Just to kind of show you so far our update method, we can do something like this. We can grab our current user. I mean, does this make sense? It's kind of like behind the scenes, the device access auth is like current user equals user dot find, and then like give it the ID, and then also like check token. Something like that. Device token auth is doing this for us. It's kind of like doing it by checking the token. Because with all these requests, we're going to like send the token. So then it's going to validate that token. And if it's valid, then it's going to set current user for us. So to update, I'm just going to grab the current users.liked cats. And we're just going to push. So this is Ruby, right? That's shorthand for push. You can also say dot push. Let's keep it like this, push. And we're going to send a ID with this request and convert it to an integer. Then current user. So we're just going to update that that array, and then we're going to save it. And then when we save it, you know, automatically I'll automatically get converted to text in our database, or the like cats. Sweet. So I believe now we can seed our database and almost try to start testing this out. Serialize, I spelled serialize wrong. So go back to my cat model, serialize. Again. Oh, in my seeds file, I did cat.all. Cat.all.size. Maybe before here I could do a cat.destroy all. Just so I know whenever I run my seeds file, I should always just have 10 cats. There we go. 10 cats seeded. So we can't, this is going to be a little, we can't really go test this in Postman. We're not going to go into that. So, because with Postman now, like I can't just go to, like, if I go to localhost 3001 API/cats, I get back this. There's, you need to sign in or sign up before continuing. Because I just did a random GET request on the browser. It's not going to like check my token. It's not going to send that token. So I can't, so this, do you see how now this route is protected? If I were to, in my cats controller, get rid of this method, now it's going to break, but now I don't have current user defined. But I hit that method, so that method is not protected. I believe we can add a except on here. Except. Update. That's going to be a post. Let's add another, just to show you, maybe because maybe you don't want all your. Let's do a get cats all to our cats controller. It's going to go cats, and let's just make this all method. Just kind of want to give you an example if you want to have a unprotected method, because maybe you do want to have all, and that would just grab cat.all. So let's do cats all. There's all our cats. So this is a, unprotected, which is, you might want that. Do not need to be logged in. So that's the authentication on the back end is a lot easier. Right? It's pretty before action authenticate user. And then device will check, do all the token stuff for us. So that's nice. So let's go back to our to the React side of things. Let's go to our home.js file. And let's have this component. Let's see if we can actually go grab all of our cats. Like a user's like cats. So with this, I'm going to want to go ahead and grab use state. So we're going to do an Axios call and use effect. I want Axios. Okay, so let's do our use effect function, empty dependency array, and let's call like a get cats function. Async. Let's go ahead and let response. Let's do a try catch on this one. Try catch. Wait. So that's just our axios.get API/cats. And we can have our cat data const. Cats, set cats. Probably should have just used my Axios on mount call here, but it's not data. Now, we have cats, which is going to be an array. But for this UI, I don't want to like render over all my cats. I want to create a sample method, like get a random cat off of the array. And unfortunately, it's like, in Ruby, there's like a .random function. We don't have that in JavaScript, so let's just build one out. Let's build a function called sample. So first I'm going to check if cats.length equals 0. So we've gone on a Tinder binge and we're all out of cats to look at. We can return no cats. This should actually be an app, like just voting on people's cats. I like it. Or we'll see, maybe we'll actually, we'll do this. We'll just, if we don't work, we'll do this. We'll say if cats.length equals 0, let's just return null, and then we'll handle that UI elsewhere. Else. So if we do have a cat, well, I don't need an else here because I'm returning. I'm going to just say return I just want to grab a random cat. So let's kind of like look at this in Node. Oh, wait, they don't, maybe there is, maybe I just need to like, it's like, why doesn't JavaScript have an easier like way to get a random number? So here's how you get a random number in JavaScript. We call the math.random function. Oh, Node math.random. So that gives you a number between like a decimal from 0 to 1. Well, I want a number from whatever, from 0 to the length of my array. So let's say the length of my array is 10. How do I convert this number to 0 through 10, to be random 0 through 10? Well, if I times it by 10, that's going to give me, 0 up to 9, which is good. That's what I want. I don't want the decimal though. I want it to be an integer. So what I can do is I can do a math.floor. So what floor does is it just rounds down. It just gets rid of the decimal and just rounds down. So I'm going to floor that math.random times 10. There we go. And that gives me 0, there's 0, should go up to 9, there's my 9. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to return, I'm going to say index, let's store this to an index, let index equal. I don't want this to be a 10, I just want it to be my cat's dot length. See, and do I want this to be -1? This is that -1, see, up by 1. I think I do. I don't think it is in the notes, but I think I do want this to be up -1, right? Yeah. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to return cats at that index. I'm missing a parenthesis. Wait. Oh. Let me get rid of that return right there. Not parenthesis.
If it's rounding down, will you get your last cat? Like if there's 10 cats and it rounds down.
Well, because it's an array and it's checking the index, right? And the index starts at 0.
Yeah.
No,
So it'll
correct one.
9.
Yeah, so when I did the math, like right here, I did the math.floor, math.random times 10. So let's say we have an array of 10 things, because yeah, we can check this out, but like that gives me 9. So it goes up to 9, which is the highest I want to go. And it also gives me 0. And since it's 0 to 9, that's not going to give me 10, because I don't want 10. So I'm not seeing 10 in there. So there's my lovely test to see that that's working. Does that? So yeah, that's why.
So then you don't need the -1.
Oh yeah, I don't need the minus. See, damn it. Yeah, I don't need the -1 because I'm flooring. Ah, sorry, that was probably what was confusing you. I do not need the -1. Dude, I am off today. Especially with those, I like jinxed myself with that stupid joke. But now we have our sample method. Okay, so let's just see if this is working. Let's do like a div. And actually let's do I'm gonna get rid of all this. So I'm gonna first do a if. If we don't have,
I don't understand. I'm gonna first debate yes.
Let's just do this. Let's say if we do not have a cat, let's return no cats left. So this is like we've liked all the cats. Else we can go ahead and let's just see if we can get one like the cat name or something. Actually, how do I want to do this? Let's do this actually in our sample. I'm gonna do this right here. Sorry, I'm switching my mind. Let's call this render cat. I think this is going to be more clear. In the Neo notes, it's a class component. Okay. Yeah, this will be cleaner. So if we do not have a cat, let's go ahead and do this. That's how I was going to do it. No cats. If we do have a cat, let's get a random one and then let's return the JSX here. We'll just keep this simple for now, H1. And I'll say let cat equal. I have that cat variable and do cat.name. So let's go ahead and test that out. Oh yeah, that's definitely not going to work. Const cat set cats. I need to have that equal to use state. Set that to an empty array by default. Cool. So we're not logged in. I need to log in. Let's log in as test@test.com. No cats, getting a 500 error. So if I get a 500 error, where do I need to look?
The server.
Server. Yeah, because this is useful. I mean, and it's telling me there's a 500 error, but I'm probably not going to find that much more information. So if I go to my server, I get undefined method cats in my cats controller line 14. Okay, so go to my cats controller line 14. User, oh yeah, I renamed this method. This was user.unliked. That's I renamed that method in here to unlike cats. So switch that. Still getting a 500 error. Unlike, oh, for user class. That needs to, sorry, yeah, this needs to be called on the cat class because that's where I defined it. Because this unlike cat is on the cat class. Let's keep on getting 500 errors. Empty, so undefined method empty for line cat RB line 7. Okay, so we go to our cat model. Line 7 IDs is empty. So it's saying undefined method empty for nil class. So I know this IDs is nil. Well, I'm passing it to this function. So where I'm actually passing it is right here. So let's go ahead and put in a binding.pry. Oh, yeah. Does anyone, this is a interesting one. Does anyone know this issue? Current user dot like, I mean, this one, okay. This is a little bit of a strange one, but let's go and look at it. I'm pretty sure I know what's happening. Okay, so if I log in, right now it's working. I should hit my pry at least. Did I? No. Okay, yeah. That's I'm in my pry. Why is this not working? Okay, so I can see current user. Can go through. Like cats is nil. So that user doesn't have any like cats. So I can exit out of here. So yeah, that's gonna my back in my pry. Exit Control C. I think this like froze my terminal. Where else is? So with that, I want to try something. So there's my 500 error because that's nil. I'm going to log out. Let's create a new. Let's do a. I create a new one. Oh, I keep on getting in my pry. So let's do current user. Dot liked cats. All right, that's still nil. Oh, I think we just have, so we just have a user that like we don't have like cats. So I think just in our cats, go to our cat model. Let's do. I think. I need to do a different way. This check right here, because if IDs is null, then I'm going to call dot empty on that. So let's see how we could do this. We could say. If IDs equal, do another check. If IDs equal, all right, we could say this ID equal, IDs equal nil. Or let's see if we can do this here. Or let's see if this works. So if IDs are nil or our IDs are empty. I want to get rid of that pry too, because that's going to screw me up. Am I still in my prime? Yes, I am. Shadow. Okay. So now that's working. If I hit refresh, that's at least that's giving me back one cat. What happens if I do it this way? This is going to break, right? So this is a weird one where like the order of this check matters. I want to see if this is null first. You know, if it's nil, that's going to evaluate to true, and then it's not going to check that second thing. So this is another example of a short circuit evaluation. I mean, all if statements are, but this is where it kind of matters. Because if ID is nil, it's going to stop right here, and it's not even going to check if IDs is empty, because that would break. If I checked IDs empty first and its IDs is nil, that would break. It's a little bit of a hack. Cool. Let's see, I'm going to slack out the what we want to throw for this JSX for our cat. And then I think we can take a little break. So let me go to Slack. So go ahead and Slack, take that, go to your home page, and just replace in our render cat where we return, just replace that there. And then you'll need to import, you know, the header. It's gonna make me do it. Import header. Semantic UI React. What else do we need? We'll need the card. Need the image. Button. The icon. So you'll just have to import all of these. And we also need this link from React. The link from React router. So I guess we'll have to do that one. Import link. That image looks a little weird. Let's see here. Let's go to. So we're going to just give this a height. Okay, let's try 400. Oh, Smokey's cute cat. So there we go. we have this UI where we can do a thumbs up and thumbs down. We'll create a link so we can see all of our like cats too. But we'll do this when we get back. Let's take a break. Come back at 12:30. Let me push this code up to GitHub as well. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I have one in your controller
Yeah.
after you push. So on line 14, we're calling unlike cats on the cat model, but then we're calling like cats on this current user. Now, is current user just a method that we get with that Axios devise? Is that how that's working? Or
Yeah, and that's so Yeah, that's exactly. So this before action is setting up current user. And what it's really doing, it's going to the user model and finding the user, but it's doing it by checking the token. So,
And so it's not calling like cats on that specific user. It's just only calling like cats if there is a user.
this, remember, the liked cats is, if I look at my schema, let's go to schema.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like cats is just a field on our user model. So it'd be saying like current
Gotcha.
user
Okay.
dot name, current user dot nickname. And current user, it says text here, but when we use it in Ruby, like cats is treated as an array. It is
Oh.
a array.
Okay. Perfect.
So we're just passing that array to this unliked function. And then in the model, that's why I need to check, hey, is this nil? Or if it's empty, just make it an array with 0 in it. So I can use it in my SQL. So my SQL doesn't blow up.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.